Welcome, one and all, to the comic multiverse, where the worlds of nerd meet, and that is my very sneezing co-host, Matt. How many times have we done this intro and you've never sneezed once?
Never in however many episodes we've done, but this time I couldn't hold it.
If I'm not mistaken, this is 65. It took Matt 65 episodes to sneeze on mic, everybody.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that. That's how long that sneeze has been here. It's been waiting, and I haven't. It's been just there, and it won't do, and then it did it.
That's the 65th podcast anniversary. It's the sneezing anniversary. You got to get a sneeze for everybody. But yes, we are back. We are continuing to truck after San Diego Comic-Con, after the news well started to run dry, but I feel pretty confident that we actually managed to get a fair amount of topics together for this show. And to top it off, Matt was nice enough to go to the Comic Multiverse Discord, wherein he is a major fixture and figurehead, to gather us some fan questions. So we're going to do both, and if there's any time, if we're not quite up to our, hour that we usually like to do, we'll come back and we'll talk about some books we read this week.
Sounds good.
There you go, because we like to shock it up for you guys here, for all you Comic Multiverse fans out there. We like to keep you guessing.
Yeah, just when you think you've got us figured out, we'll change it.
We'll change up the game. It's really about trying to build Stockholm Syndrome in the fan base. Just random acts of violence followed by random acts of kindness on our part is really what we're trying to get here. We don't want you to ever think you're safe is the thing. Because at any moment, everything could change. And speaking of stuff that could change, we start off with a Marvel Comics news story right here. Jonathan Hickman, writer of the Avengers, writers of, one of the most beloved Fantastic Four runs, this week confirmed something that I think everybody knew in their heart of hearts, or had at least guessed, and that is that, yes, Fantastic Four was canceled at Marvel because of Fox.
Yeah, everyone kind of figured that, 5 years ago?
Yeah, more or less, but it was something to actually have someone kind of put a face on it and say, definitively, yes, that's the question, or, that's the answer to the question everyone's been asking. The way he put it when he was asked on Twitter by a bunch of comic journalists is he said, the ruling had come down from on high at the company. They basically all said that, yeah, after 2015, we're not going to be doing anything Fantastic Four related anymore.
Yeah, that kind of sucks, especially with someone like Hickman, who actually wrote them and kind of loves these characters, to have to be told that no, you can't write these characters anymore because another studio owns them.
Yeah, no one can write anymore. And yet, even though that might have been the ruling from on high in 2015, as we sit back and look at it now, it's not like the Fantastic Four ever truly went away. We got, of course, The Thing and the Human Torch, who are going to be getting their own book in Legacy. Iron Man, infamous Iron Man, Doctor Doom has actually been keeping a lot of those characters and concepts alive.
Yeah, they've been around, but yeah, it's more that they just don't have their own book, I guess, or like a prominent figurehead in events like Secret Empire and Civil War II and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the actual sales statistics on the last couple Fantastic Four books were, but as it stands right now, they're building one hell of an absence makes the heart grow fonder effect, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they came out tomorrow and said, hey, we're coming out with a new Fantastic Four book, I wonder how many people would rush out to buy it just because we haven't had one in so long.
I know I would.
Yeah, I mean, shit, even DC Comics is, betting on that fact right now that there's a hole left in the comic book fandom because they're coming out with their own Fantastic Four.
They pretty much are.
Yeah, just to be like, hey, you want it, you're not getting it, come over here, we'll sell it to you. We'll sell it to you at a premium, no less. So yeah, that was just a little topic I thought we would talk about because, it's something we bring up all the time, that, Marvel and Fox don't get along, and that's the reason we don't get Fantastic Four books anymore. Well, now it's 100% confirmed it's not fan conjecture anymore.
Nah.
And I mean, I don't know why Jonathan Hickman would lie about something like this. He seems like a pretty straight shooter, all things considered, and furthermore, he's not even working at the company anymore.
That's probably why, he wasn't allowed to talk about it. He was probably like watching his own ass, just because if he said something within that 5 years where you're still doing Avengers and stuff, they might have fired him or something. Whereas now he's not working for them, he can kind of say whatever he wants.
And indeed, he did.
Yep.
Now, moving on from there to another slightly depressing story. If you've listened to the comic multiverse, or even just me in general for a long period of time, you'll know I'm a big fan of Dwayne McDuffie and the Milestone universe of comics, and I've been saying forever, hey, DC, you have all these new imprints for Young Animal and the Wildstorm. Why can't Milestone get a new imprint?
Yeah.
And after San Diego Comic-Con, I had actually heard some really good news, and that is Jim Lee, in conjunction with Reggie Hudlin, a dude from the original Milestone team back in the day, were getting together with a bunch of other old-school Milestone people, and they were indeed going to launch a brand new Milestone imprint, and I was really happy, because I'm like, oh, cool, now Static Shock and Icon and Rocket and Hardware and all these other characters that I enjoy can finally have a home. How wrong I was, Matt. Don't get excited yet, because this story that has been filled with roadblocks has hit another gigantic freaking roadblock.
Another one. Dwayne McDuffie's widow is suing them.
Yes, and she has every right in the world to be suing DC right now, and that's because being Dwayne McDuffie's widow and like the executor of his estate, she controls McDuffie's 50% share in the company. Hudland and all the other guys put together with their stuff, they also have 50% of the company. They did not tell the widow about this, and they just went ahead with it anyway and hoped she wouldn't notice. She found out about it the same time we fans heard about it.
Oh, Jesus.
That is some underhanded, dirty shit, but also very comic book industry. Ask the widows of Jack Kirby and all those other guys. Shit. Ask the widows of Simon and Schuster, and they'll tell you.
Yeah.
This ain't the first time something like this went down, not the last time something like this will go down.
No, definitely not.
I think this also answers the question, why did it take them so long to do anything with Milestone? Oh, because they didn't own 100% of the rights, that's why. That's why. They literally were playing with a hand that only had half the cards in it. You gotta wonder, like, will this actually seed the court, or will, DC and these other guys, like, just back off, and will they give the widow, like, the money that I'm sure she wants?
Yeah, well, it might end up like a Siegel or Schuster or a Kirby sort of situation where it's just, like, long, messy, and drawn out.
Yeah, for sure. Because here's the other thing. The widow, whose name is escaping me right now, she's a creative too. She helped develop that Ben 10 series and universe with McDuffie when he was still alive. So she's not a nobody. She actually has quite a lot of muscle and play and a name and everything.
Yeah, so maybe they might give her some money or something, or maybe they'll just have a go and try and buy the rights from her or something.
I imagine it's a creative control thing where it's like, look, would you do it the way Dwayne McDuffie did it? If not, then no, you don't get any of my percentage.
Yeah.
I could totally see that being a thing. So yeah, I mean, this ever-evolving Milestone story continues to evolve. And if you want to hear more about it, be sure to come back at a later date when we'll be talking about this story as it happens.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot more of this coming out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and for everyone who is excited about a new Static Shock comic like me, get unexcited, get unhyped, because it sounds like we're still going to be waiting for a very long time.
Yep.
I would also like to state again, totally on the widow's side on this one. What they were planning to do is really underhanded and really shitty.
It is really shitty.
Yeah. And again, too, it's like, oh, well, we'll just put it out and hope she doesn't notice.
Yeah, hope she doesn't notice this thing that her husband, created years ago is back somehow.
Yeah, surely she's blind and won't put two and two together on this one.
Yeah, well, she doesn't read comics, so yeah.
Yeah, well, we can get around this. The comic industry has a proud history of messing over widows. Surely we can do it again. But yeah, so that's that story, everyone. Moving away from the books to television for a little bit, we got some movement for that Teen Titans TV show they're doing for that brand new DC app that is also going to be housing Young Justice Season 3.
Yeah, the show has apparently started production
already, and we already got one little piece of casting here. Teagan Croft, who's an actress I've never heard of, she's going to be playing Raven.
Yeah, she's an Australian actress. I've never heard of her. But she's on one of our kind of what do you call them? Like soap operas?
Home and Away.
Yeah, that's like one of our big soap operas, and I don't watch it because I like brain cells.
There you go.
But I guess she's okay if they picked her, because I mean that's the same show Chris Hemsworth came from.
Really, man? Are they just using that for a testing run now? It's like, we need the next big Australian talent. Where do we look? She was also in another thing, Science Fiction Volume 1. This Titans show will only be like the third thing she's ever been in.
Yeah, so they go on complete unknown, which is good.
She's also super, super young looking. She doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, so I can't tell how young she is, but she actually, like, legitimately seems to be a teen for this Teen Titans show.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Usually, you know, the thing for, like, television in general is like, okay, you'll be a 30-year-old playing a teenager. You can do that, right? You can do that, right? You can pull that off? Like shit, you and I are fans of Power Rangers. That's a perfect example of, like, frickin' 30-year-olds playing teenagers. This is the goddamn oldest high school I've ever seen. How many years have you all been held back? Oh, man, it's the hormones in the meat making all the teenagers look much older than they seem to be.
It's that steroid abuse that's rampant through high schools.
Yeah, rampant throughout California high schools. Everyone's hitting the juice real hard. They're on the gas, which also explains all the mood swings. But yeah, so that's your Titans news, everyone. That show seems to be happening after all the stops and starts, and, you know, moving to networks and moving to apps and everything. That one actually seems like it's gonna be a real thing.
Yeah, it seems to be going somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be a real thing. And speaking of superhero shows, we move on over to the CW. They announced this week, they gave some information about the big crossover event for 2017 that'll bring together all the CW DC shows. And they've apparently moved around some of the time slots. Instead of being one each night for a week, it's going to be a big 2-night event with 2 shows airing on the same night.
Yeah, the details they came out, a lot of people are sort of theorizing that it's probably going to be based around Barry and Iris's wedding.
Oh, I like.
Because I think the director or the showrunner said something that it's going to be more of a, it's not going to be like a big alien invasion or anything. It's going to be something a bit more personal and like in a romantic way.
Right.
And that's the only thing I could see it being based about, since last season was all about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's going to be cool. It's funny that they moved it from one each night of the week to just a 2-night event, because apparently they had like really great ratings and it was a really great draw for their network. It's interesting for them to move it the way they did.
Maybe it's just easier for them to do it like that.
Probably. Also, is that to accommodate any new shows? Will Black Lightning be out by then? Did they not want to confuse people with Black Lightning to have like, hey, here's a bunch of shows that are connected to this big storyline? But this one isn't. This
will be in November. So yeah, possibly. Black Lightning starts this year, right?
I think so. I mean, they got the trailers and everything. I thought it was starting soon. It looked like it was basically done.
Yeah, so maybe it is starting soon and they don't want to confuse people with that.
Yeah, might make sense. I think the way it breaks down is we get Supergirl, Arrow the one night, and then we get Flash Legends the next.
Yep.
There you go. So saving the 2 show, or I was gonna say, saving the best for last, but then I'm like, but Supergirl was really great. Supergirl was really great, actually. So actually, that's not true at all. And I mean, Legends got better. Like, it's easy for us to make fun of Legends, but remember the last 2 episodes of Legends last season were actually pretty solid?
Yeah, they were pretty good. This season, I know that like the Comic-Con trailer looked really cool and everything with what they're doing, and some of the stuff that they've released is pretty cool. And then some of the other stuff is like, it's like they're bringing ISIS in and everything as a combat because of Trump and stuff.
By ISIS, you mean the character ISIS, not ISIS, the terrorist organization.
Yeah, well, they're kind of one and the same, aren't they?
I was going to say, well, fuck me, that's going to be really hard to explain on that show. I mean, goddamn Archer, their spy agency was called ISIS, and they stopped referring to it as that just because they didn't want the headache of having to explain it. Also, I'm thinking of the same ISIS, right? I'm thinking the ISIS who is like the love interest of Black Bolt.
Exactly the same one. The one they did on Smallville, and the one who apparently had her own TV show and everything.
Really, and she's gonna be a new crew member of the Wave Rider.
I think so.
All right, fair enough. All right, it's kind of disappointing. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have Isis. Will we get any reference to Black Bolt ever, or is that just like too much?
Probably too much. I know this new season apparently is going to focus on like sorcery. I think. So they're looking to bring back Constantine.
I hope so. I mean, there's a guy where it's like, why is he not a regular?
Exactly.
What else is that actor doing? Can you not tie him down for this show? Like, he might actually make it more watchable.
Maybe, yeah.
Speaking of more casting, there as we move on. Last week, which basically like the day after we launched the show, we got our first big reveal poster image for Domino in Deadpool 2.
We did.
Yeah, I mean, does she look like the Domino from the comics? Not really. Does she look good, though? Yeah, she looks really good.
She looks good, but yeah, she doesn't look like Domino at all.
No, it seems like a funny choice. I know you were talking about this on Twitter, Matt, where it's like, so Deadpool is 100% comic accurate, Colossus is 100% comic accurate, and yet we're getting all kind of, what's the word, we're getting all creative and like thinking outside the box with Domino.
Yeah, and I had people tell me that Negasonic isn't like what she is in the comics, but to be fair, she's not really a character who has a big of a rich backstory like Domino does.
No, most people didn't even know who Negasonic Teenage Warhead was until Deadpool, and now they've come full circle, and now Negasonic in the comics look like how she does in the movies.
Yeah, but yeah, as I was saying, like a big like thing of Domino is like her bone white skin. That's like a byproduct of her mutation, and why she's called Domino
in the first place. Yeah, because she looks like a domino with again the bone white skin and the black thing over her eye. It's like what they're going with is actually like sort of interesting. Where it's like, well, what if she just has vitiligo? And I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, you don't see many people with vitiligo in movies. And because Deadpool's a comedy, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a joke about it or something where it's like, hey, isn't that the thing Uncle Ruckus has or that thing Michael Jackson said he had? Like, that could be a potential.
But it also, like, questions like, well, it only kind of says, like, well, if she only had that, like, why is she, like, persecuted as a mutant? Because, like, normal people have that.
I mean, she still looks like $1 million. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's another one of those things, too. Like, we don't know what the budget of Deadpool 2 is. Maybe it was a cost and time-saving effort where they're like, look, we already know what it's like to put Jennifer Lawrence through that shit to make her Mystique. Do we really want to do this to another actress?
Well, it doesn't need to be... Well, that's the thing with Domino. Like, she doesn't have, like, how Mystique in the movies has, like, that scaly skin. She doesn't have that. Her skin is just white. Also, like Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just, like paint on the skin.
I wonder if that's a thing, too, where it's like, look, you know, hey, there's one really prominent African-American actress in superhero movies, and she's green. I wonder if that was something the actress was like, look, do I have to be in whiteface, essentially, for this movie? Even if it's truer to the character? I don't know, man. But yeah, that's Domino. I have faith in Deadpool as a franchise, and in terms of writing and comedy, I bet they have a couple jokes about it.
Yeah, hopefully.
I bet they'll lampshade the shit out of it, and if they weren't going to lampshade it, the internet responding to it the way they normally do, I bet they wrote in some lampshading jokes. Continuing on the casting train here, Ian McShane, everyone's favorite Wild West guy and occasional fantasy Game of Thrones guy, amongst many other things, has been cast as David Harbour, Hellboy's father in the upcoming Hellboy movie.
I read that when you wrote that. That's actually wrong. David Harbour is the guy who's playing Hellboy.
Oh, shit. Oh, so he's David Harbour's dad, not his name. Yeah, see, I thought that sounded wrong. Like, man, it's been forever since I've seen Hellboy. But I get the feeling that's not his name.
Yeah, no, he's playing Professor Bloom.
Bloom, that's right.
Broom. Professor Broom.
Broom, yes. Harbour is the dude from Stranger Things who's going to be playing Hellboy.
Yeah.
See, Matt, this is why you're on the show, Matt. This is why you're a good sidekick. I would have just kept talking bullshit and hoped no one caught it, but you caught it.
I was going to let you, but I think, nah, better not.
Because then I'll be coming at you later and be like, hey, homie, for real? For real? You going to play me like that, homie? Really? Homie, don't play like that. I mean, I can only imagine that, do you think he'll have more or less screen time than the previous Professor Broom, who was also a well-known actor?
Yeah, he was played by John Hurt in the original ones.
Yes, he was quite good.
I don't know. I know Ian McShane's a really good actor.
Yes.
So he could have a fair bit, and he's slightly younger than what John Hurt was when he was playing it, so he could have a bit more. He could even have, like, action scenes.
That's true. Apparently, Mignola spoke up this week, and he says that he hopes this new Hellboy movie will be the kickoff to a whole new Hellboy cinematic universe.
God damn it.
To which I come back and say, everyone wants their superhero movie to be a cinematic universe.
Well, not even like superheroes. It's like stuff like the Universal monsters, and I'm sure Sony want like a meme universe or some shit with their emojis.
Transformers wants to be a cinematic universe now.
Yeah.
Which apparently John Cena's going to be in that spin-off Bumblebee movie. And I'm like, all right. And also they got like a really fun writer for that one, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should see Bumblebee.
Yeah, I think they also got like a really good director for that as well.
They did. Like, the talent is way above what it should be for a Bumblebee spin-off movie.
Yeah, maybe they've realized, okay, this is a character everyone likes, and we'll make a really good film with him without Michael Bay.
Yeah, really. Or maybe they're just like, hey, this shit's stupid anyway. Let's elevate it. Let's see how high we can elevate this shit. And as far as, like, Hellboy's a cinematic universe, there's a lot of, like, related Hellboy characters, like Abe and, like, Lobster Johnson and Screw-On Headman and all these other guys. Realistically, you could build, like, the BRPD or whatever into something kind of interesting.
I would like that. It would mean we get more, like, Lovecraftian movies with all their creatures and stuff, as well as, like, more, like, horror-centric superhero films.
Which is something neither company is really doing right now.
Yep.
I mean, like, Marvel's touched on it here and there, like they're just starting their magical universe.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting. I mean, obviously we're probably going to have to see this new Hellboy movie just because it's a comic book movie and that's the sort of business we're in, but it just kind of seems like, are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you doing it because you want to, or are you just doing it because you wanted a piece of the pie?
Yeah, and I wonder as well, like, whether they if they plan on doing that, whether they'd get, like, Guillermo del Toro back to do something in it.
I think they want to distance themselves as far as they can from Del Toro.
You reckon?
I think so. I mean, plus, too, Del Toro was only threatening for how long to do a third one that never ended up materializing. I think they want a fresh, clean slate.
That's true. Maybe because, like, this new one's going to be rated R. Maybe he didn't want to do it in an R-rated film.
Yeah, we'll never know. I really enjoy The Golden Army. I didn't like the first one. I like The Golden Army, but I also understand that it has very little to do with Hellboy as a comic character, and it's mostly has more to do with, like, stuff Del Toro likes.
Yeah, that seems to be that's like his new movie. When the trailer for that came out, everyone's like, "Oh, is this like a Hellboy prequel?" Have you seen the trailer to it?
No, what's his new movie?
It's called The Shape of Water, and it's about this deaf woman who works at like this big facility that's not the BPRD or whatever it is. Totally not that, and she
the RIPD.
Yeah, she falls in love with, like, this aquatic creature that lives... That's like basically like the creature from Black Lagoon mixed with Abe.
Who's not Abe Sapien.
Yeah, the thing is, he looks exactly like Abe, and he eats eggs.
Does he... Oh, wow, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that looks like it could be the BRPD for sure. That looks like Hellboy. Yeah, you're not like... Yeah, it's a big tank that the dude's in, just like Abe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like... Guillermo del Toro rip himself off?
There's a kindly professor man in this who's not Dr. Broom, but he really might as well be. Oh, Michael Shannon's in it.
Yeah, Doug Jones, the guy who played Abe Sapien in the movies, is the creature.
Does he? Okay, yep, it's official. He ripped himself off. Yep. It looks cool though. I'll check this out.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, looks like my cup of tea. Looks like a fun time.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that one. But yeah, there's your Hellboy news, everyone. They're actually moving along at a fairly good pace on that one, I would say.
They are, especially when you consider not long before San Diego Comic-Con we actually found out there was going to be a new Hellboy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, hey, speaking of superheroes who are outside the norm and outside of the big two, apparently Valiant Comics is in the process of courting one Dave Bautista to star as Eternal Warrior in their Eternal Warrior movie.
Oh, okay, I'm not really familiar with Valiant, but okay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, neither am I. From what I know about Eternal Warrior, it's just stuff I've seen on covers, and he's like a big, burly dude with a big, burly axe.
He looks like unworthy Thor.
A little bit, actually, which is funny, because Exo Manowar right now looks like unworthy Thor. There's a lot of that going on. But yeah, I mean, if you just want a big dude who will hit shit, who looks like a brick shit house and is like actually a pretty decent actor for a guy like that, I think you could do a lot worse than Dave Bautista.
Yeah, and he's getting to be a pretty good actor.
He is. My question is, would he want to get involved with another comic book franchise so soon after Guardians? Not even after Guardians, it's still going.
Well, I every time I've seen him in interviews, I've seen he's kind of like a fan of comic books, so he's probably like, yeah, sure, sign me the fuck up.
He's also a fan of lunchboxes. Did you know that?
Yeah.
He has a huge lunchbox collection.
Yeah, he collects lunchboxes for some reason.
That's actually kind of cool. It's like, everyone, collects like normal stuff. Collects something a little abnormal.
Yeah.
I like that. That's his thing. I imagine he wouldn't have much competition in the lunchbox collecting game like you would collecting comics or classic cars or something.
Just some old lady who's trying to, like, finish off her little collection or something.
And I mean, plus he's Dave Bautista, and he's huge and giant, so even if he did run into competition for lunchbox collecting, I'm sure he could deal with it.
He could just Bautista bomb him.
Oh, I did it. Now it's mine. This F-Troop lunchbox is finally mine. I love F-Troop. This is a really bad Bautista impression. I don't even know what I'm doing. Moving on from there to some more comic book news. Brian Hitch, apparently, we reported this earlier before, like a couple months back, but we didn't know the exact time. But he will be leaving Justice League as of issue number 31.
Ooh, get the champagne out.
Yeah, about time. Which, goddamn, he was on that for a fair amount of time, wasn't he?
Oh, and thank Christ he is leaving. My new review of the recent issue, went over so well with people. I've gotten, almost 1,000 views on it.
That's good.
Because I just drill into him. He's so terrible in this book.
We were all so excited for him at first, and then that excitement just disappeared, didn't it?
It disappeared when the realization was like, oh, these are storylines you didn't get to write in JLA, and you're just repurposing them.
Basically, they were big, they were long, they were rambly.
Yep.
They were all, very time travel heavy, very MacGuffin heavy. They all didn't seem to go anywhere.
Nah.
It was a little sucky, wasn't it? But, I mean, he's gone now. Here's hoping we can get a brand new...
He's gone, but... he was talking on Twitter to someone who was really liking his work, and he was vaguely threatening to do something with the JSA.
Oh, great!
He wanted to do what he did for the Ultimates with the JSA.
Oh no!
I'm like, no, they don't go together at all.
I hope that's not what it is. Where it's like, yeah, I'm leaving Justice League. I'm done because we're finally gonna launch that Justice Society of America book, and they need me to go write that.
No.
Please.
And that'll be about time travel as well.
Oh,
God
for
damn.
fuck's sake. God damn. The man has a real boner for it in his work in the last little bit, doesn't he?
I have no idea why.
I remember we were really into that, JLA book of his when it started, when it's like, oh, let's actually meet Rao, the Kryptonian god, and let's, tell a story about religious fanaticism and what that can do to people, and, how superheroes would react to that, and how Superman would react to that.
It was really good when it first started. Then it started with the art mistakes, and then it started getting delayed, and then it got pushed all the way. The issues were still coming out at the start of DC Rebirth, and this was a DCU book.
It sure was, yeah. It was just perfect example of how even a good book can go off the rails super hard.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I guess from there we got some mild movie news here. Is Suicide Squad 2 dead? The director they had has moved on over to Disney to be making a Jungle Ride movie. He looked at Suicide Squad and said, nah, man, Jungle Cruise, that needs me. I really feel I can put my creative stamp on the Jungle Cruise ride movie, whatever that might be.
That's more viable.
That's more viable. I feel, my artistic vision will be respected more as I make a movie about the Jungle Cruise ride.
Also, just Suicide Squad 2, would it really matter since they're doing Flashpoint? That's like my go-to thing now. Like, with any movies coming out before Flashpoint, I say, well, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, they're already planning to use Flashpoint as a big, mulligan, get-out-of-jail-free card, get-out-of-mistake-free card.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to get excited about that. Now, what was the status on, again, I might be forgetting because it's been a bit, what was the status on Gotham City Sirens? Ayer's not doing that anymore? He's backed out of that now?
It seems like it because he did make a tweet saying that his new movie Bright isn't some studio hacked apart PG-13 trash movie. So we all know what that's talking about.
Wow, that sounds like someone pouring gasoline on a fire and burning a bridge.
Yeah, and the fact that none of it was talked about at San Diego Comic-Con and everything like that. And the one thing I did see was that the guy who's doing the Nightwing movie. He actually came out, I think, on Twitter or somewhere, and actually said we weren't at San Diego Comic-Con with Nightwing was because we don't really have anything because we want to get it right before we do anything.
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah, but that also screams like we're going to do it after Flashpoint and he's going to become Batman.
Yeah, which, I've heard worse ideas.
Yeah.
I've heard worse ideas, definitely, and that's my theory I'm running with as well, where it's like, okay, if Affleck wants out, that's why they're pushing a Nightwing movie, because they need a replacement ASAP.
Yeah, they're building one up.
Yeah, they need to build up a replacement. Hey, I liked the Morrison era where Nightwing became Batman. That was a good era.
Yeah, he had some good stories.
He had some really good stories, both in Detective and in Batman and Robin.
Yeah, Black Mirror, man. Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, probably the best Dick Grayson as Batman story, which, please don't come out and tell me you're going to do that one as a movie, please, because you need a fuckload of context to make that work. You just can't do Black Mirror. Please don't let some studio bigwig hear me say that. It's like, oh yeah, well, Black Mirror was the best Dick Grayson as Batman story. Oh, you don't say.
Well, I've already heard that with Flashpoint, so...
Yeah, Flashpoint was the best Flash story, which I don't think it actually was, but it's the one everybody knows.
And is it a Flash story, really? Because it's not technically... It is about Flash, but it's more like a DC Universe story.
It really was. Well, it was a big event, and didn't we hear this week, too, that apparently Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, is set to appear in Flashpoint when that becomes...
Exactly, so I don't know why people are saying, oh, it's not going to be the Flashpoint everyone knows. I'm like, they just cast Wonder Woman in it. Why? It's going to be the Flashpoint everyone knows.
Why would you do... Which, man, you gotta feel bad for Ezra Miller, so wait, you're telling me my big first solo movie as this new character won't really be focusing on me, it will be focusing more on fixing the mistakes you made with the other movies.
Yeah, it'll be focusing more on Wonder Woman because she sold heaps of money.
Yeah, which, man... Feel bad for Ezra Miller, but poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor dude. So, that does it for, the news this week. We got at least 30 minutes out of that. That wasn't too bad. You got some fan questions there, Matt, you wanted to read?
I do. Let me just bring them up.
Thank you, everyone on the Discord, for responding to Matt on that one.
Yeah, we got quite a few questions. First one here from Silva. Why do you think DC or Marvel don't have any main titles that focus on sword and sorcery?
Man, that's a good question. And really, I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't know, but also to be fair, DC does have Hellblazer.
They do.
And we've kind of been going into the magic now recently, like only in the last couple of weeks with Detective Comics, and I think the upcoming Trinity is going to be about the Justice League Dark.
Marvel has, whatchamacallit, Spirits of Vengeance coming out, even though that's just a mini. It looks like they're trying to rectify that. As far as the sword part of Sword and Sorcery, there was Weird World for a bit, and there was Dark Knights for a bit, and then nothing.
Yeah, there's been little bits, like the most recent Jean Grey was a little bit of Sword and Sorcery sort of stuff. And
from what I understand.
But it's only it's been peppered about, but yeah, they don't actually have like a main title that's about that.
No, they really don't. I wonder. Well, I mean, I think the reason we don't have a Justice League Dark right now is because they were going to make a Dark Universe movie, then that didn't happen, and they're like, well, fuck it.
Yeah, and I think they're starting to bring them back anyway, because we're going to get Zatanna, Constantine, Deadman all in, like, interacting with the main heroes and everything.
In Trinity, yeah. I mean, maybe if Trinity works out, they can spin that off into something. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the magical sides of the universe have been very neglected recently, but it looks like that's about to change.
Mm-hmm.
And we can only hope for that. What else did you have there, Matt?
Okay, let's take a look. Got quite a few questions. I just saw one. Where did I see that? Trying to pick a good one.
I'll wait.
A lot of these they're like really long questions.
That's all
right. So
let there be a note to everyone writing questions. If you keep them short, they're more likely to be read.
Yeah. These ones are like really long. Tevya Smolka says, "Do you think, with the return of Young Justice and the return of Teen Titans, that Cartoon Network, do you think that DC animation is finally going to get better in quality?"
Well, Young Justice is going to the app, so I mean,
is it going to be airing on Cartoon Network anyway?
They've only said the app. I don't know if they also said it's coming to the network, but they were very much pushing the app.
Because isn't it coming to like Netflix as well?
Yeah, I think it's also coming to Netflix, because Netflix was very instrumental in bringing it back.
Yeah, so I guess it could, but yeah, maybe. And the return of Teen Titans, I'm guessing he's talking about the live action show. That's as well going on to that app.
That app, and I don't know how a live action thing would help animation on Cartoon Network, but I mean,
yeah, and we've got Justice League Action as well on at the moment.
Yeah, for however much longer it's here, because that also got axed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember we talked about this a while back. It got canceled because they didn't mention on their new updated roster, but even though it got canceled, it still had like 26 episodes left to air.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because the episodes are still airing. I kind of thought it was like, oh, it's still going. It's not been axed or anything. They're still going through the first season. Oh, I didn't know that. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, it got canceled, but it still has about a season's worth of episodes to air, so it's almost like they got 2 seasons.
Oh, that sucks, because that was a really good show.
It was funny. It had a lot of good references. It was short, sweet, and to the point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you see the one just recently they did with Gilbert Gottfried reprising his role as Mr. Mxyzptlk?
I did. That was amazing.
That was
that's a fucking pull as well for him to be coming back as Mr. Mxyzptlk.
That is a hell of a pull, and you know the only reason they're doing that is because Dini and so on works on the show.
Yep.
In fact, you know it's a Dini show because they goddamn had a cameo from frickin' Roxy Rocket, a character only Paul Dini cares about. Roxy Rocket's one of those characters where Dini's like, no, if she just has a couple more appearances, I bet she'll be another Harley Quinn. I bet she will be. How good? How good too is Patton Oswalt as Space Cabbie?
Oh, he's amazing. Space Cabbie, a character like no one really remembers. He's only just shown up in the comics recently, and he's on animation.
Yeah. Big fan of the obscure pulls for that one. As far as the future of Cartoon Network goes, to answer Tevya's question in more detail, I think the future of Cartoon Network entails many more Teen Titans Go reruns.
Yeah, we saw that picture I posted.
That was amazing. Someone crunched the numbers and say they've rerun Teen Titans Go like something like 300 times in a month, which is like a record-breaking thing.
That's That's just so lazy.
It's almost disgusting, isn't it? But then I'm reminded, it's like, well, doesn't Nickelodeon do the exact same thing with SpongeBob, because they do more in Nielsen ratings just rerunning the same shows over and over again than they do taking a chance on anything new?
Yep.
See, I was looking through it too, and I'm like, come on, Steven Universe, where's my Steven Universe? Okay, gone for the summer, not coming back for the summer, but not canceled yet. All right. And then Cartoon Network will be weird with Steven Universe too, where it's like, hey everyone, here's like a new episode every night for a week, then nothing, then like 2 more episodes spurted out, then a couple leaks, then nothing for 6 months.
Well, you see, in those times where Steven Universe is airing, they could be airing 20 episodes of Teen Titans Go.
I'm sure that's exactly what they're thinking. They're up in their corporate boardroom being like, look, people, look, all this time you're doing with other shows, we could be putting Teen Titans on. Look, Jackson, I'm sorry you had your kid's wedding, but look, in that time you spent on the wedding, you could have played these many episodes of Teen Titans Go. Look, I'm sorry, sir, but my wife was having a baby. Look, when your wife was having a baby, you could have been playing more episodes of Teen Titans Go.
Did you show that baby Teen Titans Go?
You really should. They're our key demo. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I guess I can announce this here, but yes, I will be going back to New York Comic Con this year. I got my press stuff in the mail finally. It was funny, when I was there in New York, I only had like 4 channels, like the USA Network, which was playing nothing but Law & Order Special Victims Unit marathons, and then Cartoon Network that was playing nothing but Teen Titans Go marathons. I'm like, I can have the brain-rotting superhero show for children, or the show about violent sex crimes. Sex crimes it is.
When are we going to get like like Teen Titans investigating violent sex crimes
on a very special episode of?
They cross over with SVU,
starring Mariska Hargitay and oh god, who's the guy who plays Stabler? I love him so much.
Chris Maloney.
Chris Maloney, starring Mariska Hargitay and Chris Maloney as Ralph and Sue Dibney.
Oh god.
Oh my god. You can't tell me that's not good casting, everyone. That's really good casting. They could voice the fuck out of those characters. Oh, speaking of elongated man Ralph Dibney, I guess they cast him now for Flash Season 3.
Yeah, I can't remember who they cast, but it was basically a young guy. And they also said that the like Good Malfoy isn't going to be a series regular anymore. So I guess he's going to be taking the place of him.
Right. We need the smart, snarky guy who's a little bit older, but who can also be our stand-in.
Yeah. How many episodes do you think we're going to have until Flash reveals his identity to him?
Oh, I'm sure he'll do it right away. Like when you apply for a job at Star Labs, it's like, okay, here's your parking space. Here's your key to the company closet. Also, I'm the Flash.
Yeah, Barry Allen is the Flash, so just keep that a secret. No one's meant to know.
Just keep that under your hat. That's part of your orientation when you join the company. That's in the frickin' film they show you on the first day. Wait, should I know that? Well, you do now. So be careful. And also, are you already stretchy, or will we see what happens that makes you stretchy?
How are they going to do that stretchy thing on TV?
I wonder. Trick of the lens is what they'll do. They'll just fill his shirt with like pipe cleaners and stuff.
They'll do it like they did in that bootleg Fantastic Four movie, where it's just like prop arms on like sticks.
There you go. They'll do that. They'll do prop arms on sticks. Oh, I'm so stretchy. I'm so elongated. Look at me. But yeah, Tevye, I hope that long ramble answered your question. Who else had a question?
Troy asks, what was the worst comic released in the 90s?
That's rough. I mean, probably anything by Rob Liefeld. That's the popular answer, but I'm sure there was stuff worse than him.
Oh, yeah, there was probably heaps of stuff that was worse than him. But I can't think of any, because mainly he's the go-to.
I mean, he's definitely the guy which they hang everything that was wrong with that era on him, where it's like, ridiculous musculature, the overly macho meathead aesthetic and everything, art taking precedent over writing, which is funny because, I mean, he wasn't much of a artist or a writer for that matter, but everyone knew him more for that.
Yeah, it's even funnier now, especially with DC doing like the Dark Days thing. It's like, this is for the artists, not the writers.
I know, and I mean, like, there's shit like I'm sure people forgot about, like, you know, like Battle Tide from Marvel UK, a now completely defunct company. I mean, you know, people love Cable now, but Cable was definitely in a lot of crap.
Yeah, he was shocking in the 90s.
Indeed, he was. I mean, here's another thing. Like, back in the 90s, the Avengers had probably one of their worst eras ever of being completely unsellable with a real, like, loser lineup.
Yeah, what was the lineup in the 90s again?
I think it was, like, Cap and Hercules and, like, a bunch of other losers.
It's just funny now, because if, like, Cap and Hercules was on an Avengers team, I'd be so hyped.
I know. I think Thunderstrike was an Avenger at this time. Like Black Knight and Crystal. So, yeah, there was a lot of losers back in the 90s. I mean, heck, it's hard to believe there was a time not that long ago that Avengers books couldn't sell to save their lives. Everyone was reading X-Men. X-Men was where it was at.
Yeah, and how the tables have turned.
I know, right, man? What a difference a couple decades and a few really good movies can make.
Yeah.
Yes. What else did they have to ask?
Let's see. Amazing Zero asks, what are your hopes for the next Mass Effect game?
Are they even doing a Mass Effect now, or are they trying to concentrate on the next thing? I haven't even played Andromeda yet. I was waiting for it to come down in price, or to at least...
Yeah, I wouldn't even bother with it.
I mean, I'm sure at some point they'll come out with a Game of the Year edition that has everything in it, and then I'll get a good bargain.
Will it, though? Because, you know, everyone kind of hated it, and for right reasons as well.
They did, but I want to experience it for myself, why people hate it. You know, I want to do, like, an autopsy on it and see what was, you know, really wrong with it, aside from the crippling bugs.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, the writing in it isn't too good either.
Which is a shame, because BioWare has always been, like, you know, writing has been one of their highest points.
Well, it was one of the... It's because, like, I think none of the actual original team was working on it. Like, it was a new team altogether.
Absolutely, because that team was working on their new project that's coming out now. What's that called again?
Yeah, I can't remember. But
Jetpack flying, alien planeting, co-op experience.
Yeah, and the sad thing about that is the guy who designed that game, Mass Effect 2 and 3, he actually just passed away last week.
I know, that's pretty freaking Anthem was the game I was thinking.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But to answer your question there, my hope for the next Mass Effect game is let's see how Anthem is.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since Anthem looks very similar to what Mass Effect Andromeda is. You got like the jetpack thing, and all the combat looks kind of the same and everything. So hopefully they don't, you know, do the exact same thing they did with Andromeda. Because Andromeda, like when they first announced it, it was amazing. It looked amazing. This idea of going to all these different worlds and exploring and setting up camps and stuff.
Build your class however you want it.
Yeah, and it didn't work very well.
It's funny, too, because, you know, usually you got, like, a Mass Effect and you got a Dragon Age and a Mass Effect and a Dragon Age, and they would kind of copy off each other's papers and, like, take what really worked and use it for something else.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally see, and I think we talked about this on the E3 show, too, when Anthem came out, where it's like, oh, and here's the exact moment that Mass Effect Andromeda became Anthem, and they broke off and started doing that.
Yeah, this was like the earlier build of Mass Effect that they worked into another game.
Yeah, it really, really looked like that, but I mean, so yeah, that's where that stands right now. I'll probably play Andromeda at some point, but I haven't, and I didn't hear great things, but hey, Anthem looks fun.
Yeah, I'd like a Mass Effect game that's just set in the universe, and you're just another character not associated with like Shepard or like the Reapers or anything. Just someone like Arya T'Loak, like a criminal or something.
That would be good. Hell, do I have to play a human every time? I would love to play a Krogan or a Turian or even a Solarian. Why must you always tie my hands and make me play as a human? Even the frickin' Dragon Age games knew humans are lame and boring. Let me play a cool fantasy thing.
Yeah, that'd be even, like, yeah, just go the Dragon Age route and let you choose your character, whoever you want to be, an Asari, a Krogan, whatever, and just let you play an RPG.
Yeah, just RPG it up. Why must I always be Blandy McHuman, man? I'm Blandy McHuman in real life.
Yeah, who saves the galaxy.
Every time. Look, man, I can't save the galaxy. I can barely, like, I don't know, friggin' save the last piece of pizza. From myself. I'm my own worst enemy. That's the problem.
Hey man, I can't get up at 9 o'clock. The universe is doomed.
Yeah, exactly right, man. I work on the internet. I can't coordinate anything to save anybody. Look, but I'm gonna have to sleep until noon, or I'm gonna be really grumpy, and it won't be good for anyone. Joel, you need to talk to the alien delegates. Okay, what time is that? 9? Fuck, what day is that? Thursday? Come on, guys, come on. Look, I know the universe is at stake here, but like, look, can the universe be at stake, like, I don't know, like Friday at 3? I'll be fresh and good then, okay? I'm actually looking at a little of the Anthem stuff here now, and I'm like, man, that does look fun.
It does, but yeah, that's early E3 footage.
Exactly.
Never base the game off E3 footage.
No, you can never trust that. The E3 slump, or the post E3 graphics drain, is a real thing.
Yep.
All right, now who else had a question?
We got kind of one more question here, and it's kind of a unique one. It's a music question, and Wade457 asks, "What is your favorite heavy metal album?"
Ooh, man, that's right. I mean, probably something by Metallica. I mean, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All. Those are pretty classic. It's hard not to say those.
I know, yeah. That's actually really hard because I don't listen to a lot of music all the time. It's very sporadic,
or even in album form anymore. Like, maybe the reason I'm choosing such old albums is like, who listens to like music in albums anymore? I know sometimes that's like how you're supposed to.
I don't know.
It also gets to the point too where it's like, once we start talking about metal albums, it's like, well, what constitutes metal? Like, is Appetite for Destruction a metal album, or is that a classic hard rock album?
Yeah, you get into like all these little things. It's very, very weird.
I mean, The Blizzard of Oz is pretty freaking great. So is Paranoid.
That's pretty good.
I mean, Slayer's Raining Blood, there's another great one. Peace Sells, But Who's Buying from Megadeth. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah. Christopher Lee's album. Yeah.
Good old Christopher Lee. I mean, Shout at the Devil from Motley Crue. I mean, those were a bunch of real musical geniuses who went really far, didn't they, Motley Crue? Now, see, Motley Crue would be considered hair metal, wouldn't it be? I think we could make an argument on that.
Yeah, they're hair metal, definitely.
Hair metal. And what glorious hair they had.
They did, those perms.
I always heard stories of people who went to Motley Crue concerts, and Tommy Lee would do a thing where his drum kit would levitate on a big platform and fly out into the audience as if he was levitating it with the power of his rock.
It's all show.
All show, no tell. My rock is so powerful, but man, Dr. Feelgood's a good song. He's the one they call Dr. Feelgood. He's the one that makes it feel alright.
Yeah, and another thing with metal albums is the covers. The covers are usually better than the actual music.
Man, the covers are so fucking good for so many of these. I mean, yeah, again, Master of Puppets, just a big long sea of friggin' crosses. I mean, Iron Maiden, dude, Iron Maiden had their own mascot.
They did. You get the Number of the Beast. You got Megadeth and.
So many good ones. So many really good ones. Damn, that was a good question. We don't get to talk about music on this show, do we?
No, we don't.
Also, what about anything Ronnie James Dio did? I mean, that was pretty good. Rainbow in the Dark, man. Friggin' love that one. When there's lightning, it really brings me down. Dio claims that he invented, the horns, right? That he invented, rock-on, finger-hand movement thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he claims he invented that, and the thing is because he grew up in an Italian home, it was his grandmother who would do it when it's you're giving someone the evil eye. She would point at her hand, or she would point at her eyes with her 2 fingers, and then point at him and be like, oh, and you can give the evil eye to people when you do that.
Well, the good thing is no one's alive to contest him. They all died of drugs.
I mean, that's also a sad but true thing. Freaking was it? Gene Simmons argues he invented it, but then again, Gene Simmons probably argues that he invented air as well.
Oh yeah, he says he invents everything and tries to sue everyone for everything. That guy looked like me. I'm gonna sue him.
Something that was proudly kept up by his son as well, the wannabe comic book artist who copy traced a bunch of existing mangas and works.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was a real thing that happened, which is a shame because if you ever watched that like Gene Simmons family show, his kids actually seemed really well adjusted despite having Gene Simmons for a dad. It's probably because their mom is Canadian. They're half Canadian. They got that like chill Canadian genes in them.
Yeah.
That's why. Apparently his son too is like a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and you would know because like he wore a bunch of Abridged series shirts on the show. Which is probably the best marketing that they could ask for. Yes, what is this Abridged series thing of which he speaks? So was that it? Was that all the questions?
That's pretty much all the questions that didn't really sort of repeat themselves a lot.
All right, so thank you everyone for helping us fill out the show on that one. We're not at a total hour yet. We still got some time. Do we want to talk about like one or two books that we enjoyed this week to get us to a full hour?
Yeah, might as well.
Sure. What would you like to talk about?
You can go first because I went first last week.
Okay. Damn it, Matt, keeping track of who goes first and who doesn't. I guess one I read recently and one I really enjoyed. I would say by and large I thought this week was actually pretty disappointing for a lot of the comics I read, but one that actually totally delivered, and I'm happy I read it, was Nightwing from this week.
Mm-hmm.
So Nightwing's tech buddy got murdered, and this is around the same time his girlfriend broke up with him, so, like, Dick Grayson's not having a good time of it right now. The world is just shitting on him from all angles. And it's at that time his apartment gets broken into by the Huntress.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time these two have seen each other since friggin' Spiral, since, like, Agent Grayson, since that book. And she's like, look, I hate the mob. I'm leading a one-woman revenge thing against the mob. The guy who killed your friend, I've been chasing after him too. Let's, like, go to Italy and fuck these guys up.
Sure, why not?
And yeah, Dick Grayson's like, well, you know, my life kind of sucks ass right now, so totally, Helena, let's go do this. Let's go to Italy and beat up a bunch of people. But you gotta promise not to kill anyone. You gotta make this a no-kill mission. And Huntress is like, you're no fun. And also, too, around the same time, like, Dick's ex has, reteamed with her old supervillain mentor, and they're, like, going out committing a bunch of art crimes.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, great, they're performance criminals. They're like Yoko Ono. Only with paint, that ain't gonna be good. And eventually, Dick finds out that the hitman who killed his buddy wasn't actually a hitman at all. He was an undercover agent for Spiral.
Oh, no.
And that means that everything Dick has been dealing with in his own book now, and all these, like, superhero killing weapons that have, like, leaked out onto the streets of Bloodhaven, it wasn't arms dealers doing it, it was Spiral doing it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so the next arc is going to be literally Nightwing versus Spiral, and I'm like, that's really cool.
Sick.
That's very sick. I can't wait for that one. That was a very pleasantly surprising book for this week. I know for people who, you know, aren't sure to take the dive on Nightwing, I think now with this story would actually be a pretty good time to hop on if you're looking for one.
It sounds like I might have to start reading again.
It's good because, again, it gets you up to speed on everything that's been happening with him while also paying off a bunch of shit that happened in Grayson.
Cool.
It's nice to see Tim Seeley didn't sweep that under a rug, and he's like, no, that stuff happened and was still important to his character development, but of course Seeley would say that Seeley also wrote that book. Where he's like, yeah, of course everything I wrote is still in canon and still important. What else would it be? What else did you have this week, Matt?
Well, we had the first Marvel Generations issue this week.
We did. This focused on the Hulks.
The Hulks, of all people, being the first up.
Yeah, what weird choice to make them the first ones, but alright.
Yeah, the second one's even weirder because it's Jean Grey.
Yeah, makes me think they're either kind of... Because here's the thing about Generations that we don't know yet, and we probably won't know until we pick up issue 2. Do we have to read these all together in order? Is there like a bigger story they're telling, or is it literally just an a la carte, pick whatever one you want?
Yeah, it's really weird, especially like this one, since I expected them to give us a little bit of something of like what exactly caused Amadeus Cho to go back in time and meet Bruce Banner Hulk, and we didn't really get it. We just get like a very vague, like he was in Washington and then he wasn't.
He saw a bright light, which I wrongly said in my video. I'm like, oh, well, clearly he got caught in a cosmic cube blast at the end of Secret Empire, and that explains it. Only for people to come back and tell me, well, Joel, they never actually mentioned the cosmic cube once in this book. And I'm like, oh, did I just jump the gun super hard?
Well, the thing is, like, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, because it's
That's
like...
probably what's going to happen.
Why else would Amadeus Cho be in DC?
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for some big battle that's going to be happening in the capital.
Like, again, if I had to put money on it, and I'm putting on it right now, I'm putting, $5 bison on this. I'm putting a bunch of Scrooge McDuck's Lucky Fucky Dimes on this one. There's going to be a big battle in DC. The Cosmic Cube will get used by someone, and it will put them into whatever weird generation, time travel, dream state thing they need for these stories to work. Because this issue didn't really have an ending, and it didn't really have a beginning. They just kind of trailed in and trailed out.
Yeah, it was kind of like for Amadeus to actually kind of learn something.
Yeah.
Like, and what he learned was that the Hulk power isn't a gift, it's a curse.
Yes, the whole point of this issue was to essentially set up Amadeus Cho's new character motivation moving into Legacy, and I'm like, oh, is that going to be the same for all these books now? Is it just going to be setting up their new motivations?
Yeah, and it might actually be, especially since, like, with the Jean Grey one, I'm just going to assume that it might have something to do with the Jean Grey book, which is her trying to find out how to fight the Phoenix Force.
Yeah, which, hey, why? Who better to ask than, your older self?
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably where it's headed. Every character is going to learn something.
That Jean book is really good, you've been telling me, and other people have been telling me.
It is. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's been actually pretty good. It's kind of like a road tripping book.
That's good. I mean, X-Men has left just such a nasty taste in my mouth over the last little bit after all these failed relaunches and redos and everything, but it seems like the solo hero books are the ones to read and just, like, avoid the team books.
They're pretty good. X-Men Blue is pretty good. I like X-Men Blue. X-Men Gold's kind of there.
I feel like I should read, like, the first volume of X-Men Blue when it's collected and do, like, a comic spice on it.
Probably, yeah.
That should be my way for, like, reading X-Men and for reading, just trades in general of books I'm not reading. Do it with hot sauce. Speaking of which, my next one, I can tell it right here, is going to be on Darth Maul. I actually read all of that Darth Maul book.
It was pretty good, eh?
Yeah, it was surprisingly fun. It had a lot going on to it, and of course it had the classic Star Wars ending of Palpatine's behind it all. Like, I literally couldn't read that last page without literally thinking in the red letter media voice, Palpatine's behind it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Generations, it was cool because I'm a Hulk fan, but if you're not a Hulk fan, I don't think this will make you one.
Yeah, and as we said before, it's kind of like a pick and choose sort of thing. Like, you don't have to read this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to try and read every one anyway, just to see if there is, like, a story within a story that begins to form.
Yeah.
But it sure doesn't seem that way.
No, not with this first one.
No. But, I mean, hey, there's some good ones coming down the pipeline. We got Jean Grey, we got the Wolverines, we got all the Marvels.
Yeah, there's some pretty good ones.
The Caps, I mean, I would imagine are probably going to be pretty important because it's Spencer writing them, so it's like, okay, is this the real Cap to Secret Empire, considering that this does take place after Secret Empire, and I'm not just talking out my ass?
Yeah.
That's definitely something. What's another one I read this week? Batman number 28, the Tom King War of Jokes and Riddles continues to continue.
It continues to continue and continued the most in this book.
It sure continued. I mean, this is Max continuing after 3 issues of not continuing very much. So yeah, we're like 3 issues into this, and I gotta ask Tom King, what the fuck are you doing? What is your end game here?
This issue did feel like, we're not going to be doing tie-ins for this book. So those tie-ins that all these people wrote, we're just going to shove in this book.
I'm so glad you said that, Matt. You took the words right out of my mouth. Never has a main issue in a thing felt more like a superfluous tie-in.
Yeah, and you'd totally tell that Deathstroke, Deadshot fight was a tie-in.
Was planned for a tie-in at some point. And they're like, no, we're not going to do tie-ins to War of Jokes and Riddles. We're just going to do them in the main book.
Yeah, and on Tom King and DC's behalf, like I commend them for doing that, for not having 50 tie-ins for this event. Because if this was a New 52 book, it would have 50 tie-ins for every villain on every side, and
would get a special one shot.
Yeah,
would get a special one shot that you have to read, and it's like you'd read it and you'd be like, well, that didn't add much to the story, did it?
No.
Also, can we say, too, as far as Tom King and power levels go, does Tom King actually think Floyd Lawton Deadshot could fight Deathstroke to a standstill for 5 days?
I guess so. I guess maybe he didn't think that, like, oh, they're both, like, kind of the same person.
Yeah. I mean...
maybe they're both superpowered.
I mean, I like Floyd, don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorite characters because he's lower tier, but I mean, like, he's just a guy in a suit who can shoot guns pretty good. Deathstroke's an actual, like, super soldier. Yeah,
and the one thing that did get me, I didn't say it in my review because I wanted to say it for this, but there's that splash panel where they're, like, fighting, and it says, like, oh, one day they changed to swords, and, like, the minute you do that, Deadshot is dead.
Yeah, I mean, he's not called, Dead Sword. He's called Deadshot because he put all of his points into small weapons, into guns. Like, I know he uses a knife in the video game, but that's actually kind of out of character for him. Also, another thing you pointed out, a big art mistake in that book, too. Deathstroke is looking out of his eye that's not there. Someone actually came into my comment section and tried to tell me, no, Joel, it takes place in the past, so it's when he still had both eyes. I'm like, no, because if he had both eyes, why is he wearing a mask that doesn't have an eye hole in it?
He would have that classic look where it was both eyes and it was the same color and everything. Yeah, he wouldn't have half the faces like that blue-black.
Yeah, he'd have the proto costume, which we saw in Christopher Priest's book. He did have a proto suit that had 2 eyes in it.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's a writing mistake. I have to imagine that was probably more an art mistake than anything. It probably said, and then you draw Deathstroke. Oh shit, sorry, I didn't know this one happened in the past. I just drew the Deathstroke everybody knows.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, which, again, that would have been a fun chance to show a Deathstroke with 2 eyes, but you didn't. You dropped the ball on it.
Yeah, and it's something that would be so simple to fix as well.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that kind of annoyed me about... well, it didn't annoy me, but it made me laugh, and I'm sure it made you laugh, too. So the whole framing device of War of Jokes and Riddles is Batman telling the story of the worst thing he ever did to Catwoman. And he starts the story at the beginning, which made me think, oh, well, I guess Catwoman wasn't involved in the story. Only to see Catwoman show up in this issue, I'm like, well, fuck, if Catwoman was here for all of this, and why are you explaining it from the beginning, Batman?
Well, you see, she might have forgot, because we just fucked, and yeah.
And I tend to have that effect on women. Also, another instance, too, where Catwoman was clearly stealing stuff, and Batman let her go because she gave him a little peck, and it's implied that they boned there as well.
Yeah.
Tom King really loves this idea that, like, as soon as Batman gets laid by the supervillainess, he's just like, well, I nothing I can do.
Yeah, I gotta put my pants on. I can't chase him.
Have you seen how elaborate my bat pants are? That's like 15 minutes, and Alfred wasn't there to help me. I had to later call Alfred and say, hey, come help me put my bat pants on. They got so many belts and loops and everything else, and then I gotta put the cape on. It's a whole production. But yeah, War of Jokes and Riddles, not really a fan so far, and the fact that it's going to take all summer to finish this story makes me think, like, goddamn, what Batman did better be really worth it, Tom King.
It's kind of drawing out a little bit now.
It's 3 issues in, and it already feels like it's been 5 issues, because it's like, well, and nothing happened here, and nothing happened here either.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, like, interesting stuff seems to be happening between the pages.
Absolutely.
From the first issue, and then it went into the second issue, which was like an interlude, and then it went into this issue. There's like say all this stuff happened, that there's been a war across this park, and it's kind of like gangs of New York and everything. We never see any of that.
Yeah, I'm like, why can't I see the cool gangs of New York shit you're talking about? And they're also like, oh, Joker seized the East Side, and Riddler the West. And I'm like, how did they seize it? How are they holding it? To what end are they doing this?
Yeah, and even like Gordon's stuff where he's talking with the FBI and sorting out how to deal with it, and like that would be pretty cool. And again, all this sounds like stuff that was meant for tie-ins.
Mm-hmm. It made me laugh too because Gordon's like, oh, this is a war. We need to call in the National Guard. We need to call in the Army. Didn't you do that just a year ago in story time for frickin' the Riddler in Zero Year? How did that work out for you? Oh yeah, that's right. It didn't. It's nice to know you're having a major memory lapse, Gordon. And again, too, like I've joked before that Tom King's Batman isn't very proactive. He's super not proactive here.
No, not really.
Oh, I need to go around and help all the people who are caught in the crossfire of Deathstroke and Deadshot. Or you could just deal with Deathstroke and Deadshot so more people didn't get shot. That seems like a Batman thing to do. That seems like something Batman would do, and other characters would chastise him for it, like Gordon being like, oh, sure, you stopped the bad guys, but at what cost? You let those people get shot and just bleed out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Batman, not a paramedic. I mean, does the city not have paramedics? Does the city not have people whom it is their job?
Yeah.
I don't know. This story, man, of course I'm going to keep covering it because it's Batman, but at the same time, it's just like, damn.
Yeah, and especially after, like, Tom King, he wrote, like, 3 good issues in a row with, like, that Catwoman story. And then we're back to kind of, like, his normal Batman stuff where he's kind of stupid. He kind of doesn't care.
No, he goes very much up and down, Tom King. I think he has good days and bad days when it comes to this book and this series.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Batman going on. I mean, we're at our hour time now. Did you have another one you wanted to talk about?
Let's talk about Green Arrow issue 28.
Can you believe I haven't read this yet? This is the big Superman Green Arrow team up, and I was gonna read it tonight to put it up.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
I bet it looked good. You were putting some screenshots up there, and they all look totally up my alley.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, so Green Arrow is obviously continuing his country tour to stop the Ninth Circle, and it takes him to the door of Lex Luthor, who he thinks is dealing with the Ninth Circle. Lex isn't, because he thinks they're beneath him, and he's kind of like the hero now, so he's not dealing with them or anything. So in retaliation, the Ninth Circle do a cyber attack on LexCorp and Lex Farmer and just make his stock plummet.
Oh shit, they doxed him.
And along with that, they also release all of his employees' dealings, affairs, nefarious, all sorts of bad shit. And it causes literally everyone who works for LexCorp, which is most of Metropolis, to go about trying to kill themselves to save themselves from the shame of what's happening.
Oh no.
And so while Green Arrow is confronting Lex about this, Superman's working overtime to save people from shooting themselves in the head, falling from buildings,
Jesus.
all sorts of stuff, and then
it's
him
like
and Green Arrow
crash on steroids.
yeah, basically he's working overtime, and then he and Green Arrow sort of team up to sort of stop the last little bit while Lex stops the cyber attack. And you get a really cool moment where Green Arrow and Superman just stand on the roof, and Superman's like, "Hey, I'm proud of you. You're kind of going through a rebirth at the moment, much like how I did."
Yeah, a rebirth. I fused with a guy who was me but wasn't me. It's a long story.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're still insufferable, asshole, but I'm proud of you." And he's like, "Thanks, America's dad."
He is America's dad. That's pretty fair. Also, it's funny, too, the whole fusing with a guy who is me but wasn't me. Green Arrow totally did that when Kevin Smith was writing. Like, Green Arrow's literally been through, like, what Superman's been through, so that's pretty funny. That does sound like a winner. That does sound like something I would like. So, yeah, everyone, we're at about an hour right now. I still have more books I need to read moving forward, and I'm sure Matt's got stuff to get back to. He was rendering before we started. So thank you, everyone, for handing questions in. That was really good. We'll definitely have to do that in the future, especially if news continues to come out in a little trickle post-San Diego Comic-Con.
Definitely.
You got anything coming out on your channel, Matt, you want to tell people about?
Not really, no. I'm working on some stuff at the moment, getting some stuff sorted out, and I just got to find the time to do it all.
Nice, nice. I got all sorts of stuff I'm working on as well. You know, come by, see all the same videos and podcasts. Be sure to follow us on social media, both at Cape Joel and at Matt Fortress of Solitude, or FOS. See, I got the acronym right. I'm good at things. Ooh, also, if you want to show your love for the comic multiverse, con season is coming up. Of course, we got New York Comic Con. Of course, we got Fan Expo. We got all these other big shows coming up. Be sure to head on over to the TeePublic store and get a brand new fancy Damn Moon People shirt that you can buy now.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, and you know, that actually does go to support me and Matt. I think we make like half of whatever the shirt gets, so like if you buy it for $14 in one of those sales, $7 is put to us, so that's always good.
Yeah.
And hey, if you want to listen to this episode first before anyone else, be sure to become a patron. We put all sorts of fun stuff up there. You'll always get the show Sunday night without fail, and for everyone else, you can go on over to SoundCloud to get it.
Yeah, SoundCloud's going pretty well. You've got all like the episodes uploaded now, don't you?
We do, but I actually think I forgot to put up the one from last week. It'll be up by the time you hear this. It will be up to date by the time you hear this. And I'm not up to date on commentaries yet, but then again, people spooked the shit out of me because they said apparently like SoundCloud took a bunch of losses this quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, not just when I uploaded everything. I'll tell you this, SoundCloud's got my money for the next month, so no matter what happens, it's fucking going up on SoundCloud, I'll tell you that much. Also, that's something the patrons helped get, so all the more reason that's going to be a thing in the future. So on that note, everyone, I'm rambling. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to join us again next week, and we'll do this all over again.
Sure will.
Sure will. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.